Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the annual Crystal Queer QAPride Video Podcast. This is the show that celebrates you and welcomes you as you are. I am your host, Andrew Richardson, and today I am joined by the founder of Social Tinkering, Jeanette Langston. Jeanette is here to update you and everyone else on all things social tinkering and some of our newest collaboratives, which include Rutland Plus. We also have some special announcements at the end of this show, so please make sure that you stick around to the end to hear them. Without further ado, I have the pleasure of introducing Jeanette Langston.
So my name is Jeanette Langston, and I am the founder and director of Social Tinkering, a Human Connection Project. We're a nonprofit that started about a year ago. We're in Rutland County, Vermont, and we work to build thriving communities by empowering connections and growing happiness. We do this by creating social opportunities for folks to simply gather and be together and find friends and build their social networks to help folks prioritize the importance of making those social connections in their lives and how it can really impact their lives. The other thing that we do is we build and organize and facilitate collaboratives that help fill gaps in social connection in the community to uplift justice, equity, diversity, and inclusion, all for the purpose of increasing belonging. And so we have two collaboratives. One is called the Jedi Movement, and it's specifically to center the voices of folks that have been traditionally and underserved, structurally underserved, and then to further justice, equity, diversity, and inclusion in Rutland County. And the second collaborative, which we'll be talking more on today, is Rutland Plus, which is our new one, and that is focused around uplifting support and visibility of the LGBTQ+ community for all of Rutland County.
I think that that's very exciting for this community. I've only been here for since 2018, so just in the couple of years that I've been living here, it's wonderful to see so many things happening, and that you and many others are being able to help these things to continue and to be long lasting. I think that that's something that can often get lost, is that we want these things to last far beyond when we've started them and where we are in our lives. So that's really
cool. I think that's the a unique thing about what we're doing at Social Tinkering. We're looking at the bigger picture and the future of our communities and how our culture is affected by whether someone feels how individuals are affected by when a culture isn't fostering that diversity and inclusion that we'd like to see. And so, so the collaborative, the Rutland Plus collaborative, is a way to really pull all individuals who identify as LGBTQ+ and create a space for them to share their voices, to be together in community, to share ideas, share resources, and just simply be there for each other. But it's also a platform for businesses and organizations and just generally allies to be able to find ways that they can easily support the community too, because everybody has a way they can help, but not everybody can quite figure out how to do that. And so through Rutland Plus, we can show people how easy it is to participate and how you don't have to have money to be able to uplift social change and other people. You can bring different resources to the table. A lot of time it's just time. Of course, money is fantastic because we need money to keep running this work. People cannot work for free, and we can't put on events for free. It costs money, but there's so many different ways everybody can participate. And one of the biggest ways is just leading by example, setting a good example of what it means to be inclusive. And you see that in awesome graphics and what they've done over the last 2 years, and supporting this I Heart Rutland, All Are Welcome Here visibility campaign that we started last year. And they've given so much of their time and energy and just been so generous in helping us figure out how to pay for things, and then just really putting themselves out there as leaders in the community, because I think there's a lot of businesses traditionally that tend to worry about losing clients, losing business if they get on board some of these social issues very visibly. And, the owner of Awesome Graphics said, yeah, I thought about that for a moment, but I thought about it for a moment. And then I said, it's too important to not participate. And that's just so meaningful for the community to hear that, to see that. And it's really empowers other people to follow that lead. So
yeah,
I just went off on a tangent and talked a lot.
No, that's okay. It's an
Exciting.
easy segue for me into the next sort of talking point, which is this podcast. So talking about creating spaces and finding ways to just further spread the word of these amazing things that we're doing, that you're doing. So each week in the month of June, as we did last year, Crystal Queer QA Podcast is going to host 4 videos, this being the first kind of an updating video just to share with everybody who has listened in the past and newcomers, what we've done before and what we're hoping for this coming Pride Month. So 4 videos each week of the month of Pride, and we're using that to celebrate our identities as queer folks, to bring folks who are cisgender into the conversation for the QA part of this title, to ask questions, get answers in a very non-judgmental area. So we would hope to be able to educate those who are interested in learning more, and to maybe give support to those who are either on the fence or just not interested in learning at all. An olive branch of, we're here to support and to be non-judgmental.
Yeah, I feel really strongly about it being so important to create spaces where people can feel like they can ask questions, and not just for, straight cisgender people who don't really know don't really know anything about the LGBTQ plus experience, but also for those who are questioning their own experience and, trying to learn who they are. And because, it's not, there's, youth that are coming into their teen years and early teen years and trying and slowly starting to realize that they're different and things, and trying to figure out what that means to them. And how do I get information about that? How do I learn? Is there somebody I can talk to? There's that. There's also people who are older, though, that realize when they're older, hey, I think that I may have been different all along, and I never had the safe space to even think about or learn about that. And so I'm excited about this podcast because I think it is so good for so many different people in just learning so many different things. And of course, we're not experts. We just have our own experiences and to go from, and hopefully, we can bring in some experts on this in the future. But honestly, like, you are an expert on your own lived experience. So that's what we're talking from, is like this, we're human beings and we have different experiences. And we are experts in that, honestly. Like, you don't have to go to school to know what it's like to be a transgender person, right?
Yeah, absolutely. It's a figure it out as you
Yeah. And hopefully
make your own path.
Hopefully resources like this podcast can help.
Yeah, absolutely.
Folks in so many different ways. The more we normalize the conversation, normalize the ability to just have conversation about these topics, the more we're going to affect change.
Yeah, which is a great segue into sort of a other part of what I was hoping for in this video today, which is to explain sort of what's in store. So main goal for this podcast series is to have open conversations in an environment that is safe and judgment-free, with the intention of learning more about ourselves and others in the world, in within the lens of the LGBTQ plus community. So after that, do you mind giving us and myself and our listeners and viewers sort of a social tinkering update on the events and partnerships just for the month of June?
Yes. So we are doing a lot this year, and really it's kind of our first year doing a lot. So this is really exciting for us. Last year we were working with some folks, trying to figure out what to do. Can we do things, getting to know each other. There was we all together started the All Are Welcome Here visibility campaign. And then we kind of took several months off to try to figure out what to do next, I think, and who wanted to be involved still in things, and in what ways. And so January, we decided to start the collaborative, and it's just been so helpful to have that for this June, because we have all these partnerships in place now. And so for the month of June, we are doing 4 more episodes of the podcast, obviously, which we've decided will be a year-round activity, because we don't want to just do things during Pride. We want to do things year-round. Right. But we are really emphasizing Pride by doing those 4 episodes during June. And then the other thing that we're doing that's a really cool project this year is the Rainbow Tree Project, I'm calling it. And Mountain Music in downtown Rutland is hosting the Rainbow Tree in the front and center in their window. It's beautiful. They light it up at night. I need to go down and see it at night. We have sparkly cards you can go in and write message of love and support on for anyone and everyone in the LGBTQ plus community. And the owner there will hang it on the tree. And if you go down, you'll see lots of messages on it already, which is really heartening, very touching. And we'll have that there during the whole month of June. And so after June, we will take the tree down, we will take the messages, and we will make a more long-term art piece out of those messages. So we continue to have those messages visible for folks in some way. So that is a really cool, meaningful project. I'm really enjoying that. The other big thing that we're doing, which is very exciting, is a Pride celebration, the history and everything of Pride, June 17th. And we're doing that at the Chaffee Art Center, who's been a wonderful ally of ours this year. And we will have partners from Rutland Plus setting up tables with art projects, with GORP stations, with information, just general information on topics related to LGBTQ plus stuff. We'll have bubbles, we'll have popsicles, we'll have, we have the banana band that's going to play LGBTQ plus anthems, and they're going to do sing-alongs, and they have instruments people can pick up and play along with them. I'm really excited because I love to sing. I'm really excited about that part. And then the other really cool thing we're having is the paper poet Bianca Zanella is running a queer open mic for us, and we already have, I think, 3, 4, 5 people signed up to read their poetry to whoever wants to stop and listen at the celebration. Really excited about that. So it's June 17th, 5 to 8 p.m. It's free. It's all ages. So we want youth and adults. I love seeing the different generations coming together in the same room. It's super fun to watch that happen and see the learning between each other that goes on, and that sharing of just love and support. So did I miss anything?
I don't think so. I just want to give a little plug for Mishak over at Mountain Music. That is a place that myself and my partner frequently visit to go and add to our growing record collection. So, I'm so happy to see that he's getting involved in the community. He's always been somebody, whenever I've gone in there, even before I knew he was an ally, has just been so kind, very family friendly space, very COVID safe for those of you who might be sort of worried about exposure or anything like that. So he's always been a wonderful human being. I hope that he continues to provide his support. So yeah, I think that's everything as far as what
Yeah,
Jeanette has in store.
Mishak and his wife, I haven't met his wife yet, but they're really great, really big supporters. They're sponsors of our June 7th. I should mention that too. We have several companies and individuals that have stepped forward to sponsor financially the event on this June 17th, and Mountain Music is one of them. We've also had the co-owner of Phoenix Books, Trisha there. She's sponsored the event as well. Phoenix Books has all their welcome here visibility, the yard signs. So you can stop in there. I can talk about that later. But Trisha has been a huge support as well. And Phoenix Books in general is just a huge support of our work. And then Cedar, the Chamber and Economic Development of Rutland region, they sponsored our event as well, which is super exciting. Talk about leadership of the business community. And I just love working with those folks. They have some just really great, positive folks that are just really excited about making this community a place where everyone feels belonging. Velco is a company that we're just getting to know that also sponsored the June 17th event, which is very exciting. That was one I hadn't even really talked to them, and it just appeared in my inbox. They employ a lot of people, and so I'm really excited to see their support for that, because I'm sure they have people working for them at that large of a company that represent the LGBTQ plus community and probably are feeling that love now, so I hope. And then let's see, did I forget anybody? Obviously the Chaffee is helping sponsor and support us very much, all of our events year round. They're fantastic folks to work with, and very inclusive space. Awesome Graphics always is just so generously supportive of everything we're doing as well. So yeah. And the signs, the yard signs I mentioned earlier, you can pick them up at Awesome Graphics, Phoenix Books, and Chamber and Economic Development downtown Rutland. If you want a yard sign, we have a couple boxes left from last year still.
Gotcha. And those are free, or do you have to? Those
are free. Okay. They were all paid for through the fundraiser that everyone in the community pitched in on last year. So everybody did that. I just organized it and facilitated that happening, but you all made that happen. We couldn't have done this with everybody coming together. And the fundraiser was so cool because it wasn't there was a couple larger donations from companies, but most of the donations were smaller, 50 or less, or 100 or less donations, and even 20 or less donations. And that's when I get really excited, because then everybody gets to contribute a little bit, and that creates the ability to do these awesome things. And then it's not just us doing it, it's everyone, and everyone can take ownership and pride in the fact that we did that together. And yeah, so we are looking for ways to fund the creation of more signs and more stickers ongoing. That's definitely one of our challenges, and we want to spread that visibility campaign to other communities in Rutland County too. And I guess that said, I should mention Killington Resort. That's another exciting thing that's happened just in the last several weeks, is Killington Resort have joined our meetings at Rutland Plus and said, how can we help? And we want to do more. And could we put, what about these banners? Could we put these banners up? Yes, please. So they paid for 2 of the banners, and instead of I Heart Rutland, it says I Heart Killington. So, which is very exciting. So it's the same banner, just I Heart Killington. And they are making their own Killington brand banner with the Pride Progress Heart on it. And they're going to hang them on opposite sides of the poles at the entrances to the resort. I believe they may be installing them this week. So I'm going to go up and take some pictures and things so you all can see them. But ideally, I would love to just work with people in every single community of Rutland County to, create whatever works for their community with this messaging on it, because, it's not just the city of Rutland, it's the whole county together. So
cool. So if you have made it to this part of the video, then you've made it to our announcement about what is still yet to come for the other 3 videos that I'm planning to post for this podcast series. Last year, I'm just going to go over really quickly. We started off our first video doing a very broad overview of terms and definitions for LGBTQ language, how to use them in terms of sentence structure, what's an adjective, what's a noun, what's all of these things. Then we did a history of the Stonewall riots, which is sort of just a recap. It was unofficially, I guess, kind of the first Pride event was a riot, which is really awesome. Not that it had to get to that point, but now we're here. So we did the history of that, the Stonewall riots, and then the third video that we did was myself interviewing my father for Father's Day. I was hoping to do that again this year, but I don't know if that's going to be possible. So maybe that's something we can look into for another time. But we did a Father's Day episode talking about being a parent of a trans, queer, LGBTQ child. And then our last episode, we were able to have somebody who's very beloved in the Rutland community, Steve Costello, come, and my partner's mother, so soon to be my mother-in-law, Beth Richardson, came, and we did a episode on being and becoming an ally. So how can you, work on your allyship if you're already doing so, become an even better ally? How can you help somebody else to learn the best ways to become an ally and to support the LGBTQ community? So someone who is maybe a little bit more seasoned in their allyship, somebody who's kind of new to the scene. So that was what we did last year. And coming up this year in the month of June, we're going to kick off the second video, which will be an interview with an individual who is involved in the religious aspects of their life, doing that, and how they incorporate and walk through life also being somebody who's part of the LGBTQ plus community. So looking at that area, we're next going to do the youth LGBTQ plus experience. We're going to be interviewing a youth from this community to speak on their experience, maybe in schools, maybe in the community. Stay tuned to see and to hear what that is like. And then our last video is going to be a individual from my workplace who identifies as non-binary, and we're going to have a non-binary experience podcast as well, talking about that aspect of the LGBTQ plus experience. So that is all to come in the next few weeks. My hope is to drop each episode on Sundays in the afternoon/evening. But as this is only my second time doing the video podcast, it is still a time-staking process to put all these things together and edit everything. So I'm going to do my absolute best. I have a target. I'm going to try to hit it, but it might be a few, might be late, but we'll work on that.
That's okay. It's life.
Yeah. So I'm sure every year that we do this, every month that we do it, it'll get better.
It gets easier. Yeah. With practice. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Very cool. I'm super excited for all these topics, and there's just so many topics we could cover and talk about. And one of the things I love most about this Crystal Queer QA podcast is just having the video aspect where you can see people's faces and see their expression and see the interaction between people. So that we can see that people are like real human beings, and it's their stories, and our stories are so important to share with each other. So
yeah, I think that it's worth mentioning sort of the inspiration for this podcast for me personally was my second oldest sister, who she is a very strong ally for the LGBTQ community. She's been my rock in my family for a really long time. She showed me the Uncomfortable Conversations with a Black Man podcast that came out right around George Floyd's death. And that really showed me that there was a space to do something like this. You know, I think that it's absolutely of utmost importance to be able to have conversations, especially about race in our country. But I think that that was a huge inspiration piece for me to feel supported doing this, knowing that somebody else had done it and done it in such an eloquent and meaningful way. So thank you to that podcast and to my sister Karen for showing it to me. So yeah. Awesome. Lastly, I'm going to go ahead and segue into our call to action. Thank you all so much for listening to this first podcast video. Before we go, make sure that you share some love by leaving us your feedback in the comment section below, or you know, sending us a message on Facebook, or providing your email to our email list on our website so that you can get updates as things are happening. Consider donating to this amazing nonprofit online. You can find the donate button on the website at socialtinkering.org. And definitely stay tuned next week for our second video. I'm going to highlight a individual who shares their experience as a pastor in an opening affirming church in Rutland City. So yeah, thank you all so much for listening. And thank you, Jeanette, for doing this.
Yeah, thank you so much. It's very exciting to be doing this work with you, Andrew. Thank you for everything you're doing. It's awesome.
My pleasure.
Great. Hope to see y'all at Pride.
Yeah.